Welcome to Betrayal Affairs. In today's video, we explore a quiet storm, a moment so subtle, yet so deeply unsettling, it left me questioning not just my professional boundaries, but my very ability to trust my own instincts. This isn't just a story, it's a reminder that danger doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers behind closed doors, disguised as politeness, wrapped in the ordinary. And if you've ever second-guessed yourself when your gut screamed something felt off, then this story will strike closer than you expect. It all began on what seemed like the most ordinary of afternoons. The sun hung lazily over the skyline, casting sharp shadows across the clinic's sterile walls. Nothing about that day hinted at anything unusual. The front desk buzzed with its usual rhythm, patients checking in, phones ringing, charts being passed between hands, all orchestrated in that controlled chaos only a medical facility knows. As a nurse in one of the busiest clinics in the city, I'd learned how to dance that dance effortlessly, efficient, composed, professional. That day was supposed to be no different. At least, that's what I thought. When I glanced at my assignment board and saw Mr. Warren's name, I didn't think twice. He was a familiar name, a patient in his early 50s who had come in multiple times over the past few months. His visits were routine, heart monitoring, blood pressure checks, follow-ups. He was soft-spoken, reserved, never gave us trouble. But from the moment I walked into that examination room, something felt different. The lights were dimmer than usual, casting faint shadows on the pale blue walls. He was already seated upright on the exam bed, unusually still, his hands folded tightly in his lap. His eyes darted to the side, avoiding mine, like he was trying too hard not to meet my gaze, or maybe too afraid to. There was a kind of tension in the air I couldn't quite explain, like a string pulled taut but not yet snapped. "Good afternoon, Mr. Warren," I said gently, masking my unease behind the warmth of routine. I gave him a polite smile and tried to maintain the kind of friendly tone I use with all patients. "You doing okay today?" He nodded, too quickly, and kept his gaze low. Something about that nod didn't sit right. It wasn't the usual nervousness people get around medical professionals. It was something else. Something deeper. I chalked it up to stress. "We all have our days. Let's go ahead and get you set up for your exam," I continued, stepping forward with clipboard in hand. I went to attach the monitoring equipment and straighten his gown, but as I adjusted the fabric, something caught my eye, something I wasn't prepared for. Through the thin hospital gown, a shape revealed itself that didn't belong in a clinical setting. It wasn't just anatomy. It felt posed, deliberate. My breath caught in my throat. My eyes instinctively shifted away, and a flush crept up my neck. But I told myself to stay focused. I'm a professional. This isn't the first time I've seen something awkward. People lose modesty in clinical spaces. It's not personal. It's just medicine. Still, even as I moved around him, adjusting the blood pressure cuff, checking his vitals, I couldn't shake the feeling crawling up my spine. Something felt staged. Performed. Then it happened. In a sudden, almost too smooth motion, Mr. Warren shifted his position. The gown slipped. Fully. For a moment, time stalled. I turned my head instantly, gasping softly, my hands trembling slightly as I fumbled to maintain my composure. "It's okay," I whispered to myself internally. "Accidents happen. Just keep it together." Before I could respond or recompose myself, the door creaked open. Another nurse peeked in. "Oh, sorry, didn't mean to interrupt," she said, clearly sensing the tension in the room. She paused, a flicker of something in her expression, then quickly retreated, closing the door behind her. I could see her hesitation. She felt it too. That thick, unnerving energy lingering in the air like smoke. Mr. Warren's expression changed. Panic. Embarrassment. Or maybe something else. He scrambled to cover himself, muttering an apology, eyes wide like a child caught doing something he shouldn't. "It's all right," I said, forcing a smile that didn't quite reach my eyes. I reached for fresh linens, desperate to restore a sense of normalcy. As I handed him the sheet, his hand brushed against mine. It was light, fleeting, but it lingered just long enough that I knew this was not an accident. I froze. Just for a heartbeat. Then I kept moving. Because that's what we're trained to do. Maintain control. Keep it professional. Don't make assumptions. Don't escalate. And right then, as if the universe threw me a lifeline, Dr. Anders walked in, holding a patient chart. "Everything all right in here?" he asked casually. "Yes, doctor," I said immediately, stepping back like nothing had happened. "Mr. Warren's all set." I didn't glance at Mr. Warren. I didn't wait for anyone to say more. I walked out, and even with the door firmly shut behind me, the discomfort followed. It settled in my chest like a stone. Something about the whole interaction felt off, not just awkward, not just unprofessional. It felt dangerous. Later that day, as I sat reviewing charts at my desk, a message popped up from the front desk. "Patient Warren has requested Nurse Jenna for his follow-up tomorrow." My stomach turned. Why me? He'd never been particular about who saw him before. Was it just embarrassment? Was he trying to find comfort in the familiar? Or was it something darker, more calculated? The next day, I stood outside his exam room, my knuckles hovering over the door. My heart beat loudly in my ears. I took a breath, then knocked. When I stepped inside, he looked up, and the man I saw was not the nervous, embarrassed figure from the day before. No, this man was composed, confident. His eyes locked on mine. "I've been thinking about you," he said, voice low, almost casual. I blinked. "Let's just get started with your checkup, Mr. Warren," I replied firmly, pretending I hadn't heard that. But his gaze didn't shift. He watched me, studied me. Every move I made as I adjusted wires, placed monitors, recorded vitals, I felt his stare like heat on the back of my neck. Was I overreacting? Was I imagining this? The next morning, I tried to convince myself it was nothing. Maybe I was just reading too much into it. Maybe he didn't mean anything by it. But then it happened again. 10 a.m. message from the front desk. "Mr. Warren is ready. He's requested Nurse Jenna specifically." No, this couldn't keep happening. This time, I walked in with my guard all the way up. I was brisk. I was cold. "Good morning," I said flatly. "Let's begin." He smiled. That same unsettling, knowing smile. "I'm glad it's you," he said. I didn't respond. I moved quickly, professionally. But then he leaned forward, just slightly, lowered his voice, and whispered, "I've been thinking about you." I snapped upright. "Mr. Warren," I said, voice steely, "I'm here to assist with your medical care. Let's keep our conversation professional." He didn't flinch. He just nodded slowly, like he expected that answer, like it was part of some twisted script he was playing out. Then the door opened. Relief washed over me. A witness. Someone else in the room. But it wasn't Dr. Anders. It wasn't another nurse. It was a woman. Mid-40s. Designer person hand. Hair perfectly styled. Elegant. Cold. And her eyes sharp as razors. "Am I interrupting something?" she asked, voice icy. Mr. Warren visibly tensed. "No, not at all," he stammered. I stepped back. "Just finishing up," I said, already heading toward the door. But she didn't move. She didn't blink. She stared at me, then him, then back at me. That look? I knew what it was. She knew. She felt it. She didn't have proof, but she knew. That was his wife. And I didn't wait to find out what came next. I left the room, my heart hammering. That situation, it was spiraling. Fast. And I didn't want to be at the center of it. Later that day, another message. "Mr. Warren has requested you again." That was it. I went straight to Dana, our lead nurse. "Can someone else take Mr. Warren tomorrow?" I asked. "He's getting too comfortable. I need space." She looked concerned. "We're short-staffed, but I'll try." Try. That word didn't comfort me. The next morning, I checked the board. My name, next to his. I exhaled. Not today, I told myself. Today, I draw the line. When I entered the room, he was already sitting silent, staring out the window. His hands clenched tightly. "I wanted to talk to you," he said, not turning around. I didn't move past the door. "About what?" He turned slowly. His eyes met mine. "About what happened before." I stayed still. "I'm here for your care. That's all." He nodded, but his expression had changed. Softer. Sadder. "I crossed a line," he said. "I know that. I'm sorry." And for a brief second, I didn't know what to feel. Was it regret? Manipulation? Was he trying to reset the board? I didn't answer immediately. Then, calmly, I said, "Let's keep things professional from here on out." He nodded. I performed the checkup in silence. No conversation. No eye contact. That was the last time he ever requested me. Sometimes, the most dangerous moments in life don't scream. They whisper. In quiet rooms. In lingering glances. In soft voices that hide sharp intentions. And when your gut tells you something's wrong, listen. Because it might be your only warning. Thanks for watching. If you've ever experienced something that didn't seem bad enough to report, but still left you shaken, tell your story in the comments. And always remember, your instincts are your first line of protection. Don't ignore them.